This is High Petergate, and we pan round to St Michael's Belfry, and it's called a belfry I assume because it's got a high bell tower and it's right next door to Minster, which I'm just about to go inside, have a look around. Okay, it feels small when you stood beside it. Just about to walk inside. I'm quite surprised. I thought with something of this size would have a gigantic entrance door, and the ones next to it are not much larger. So we're actually inside York Minster. God, it's huge. Beautiful stained glass windows. No pews, you've just got lots of seats. Huge, great big columns. The arches. And more windows right around. And this one's step, well the step was, probably Stephen. And this one's Cetus. And this one's got to be Richard. And this one, it looks evil. It's got to be John of the Robin Hood era. And this one's Henry, be Henry the First, I should imagine. Henry. And this one's Edward. This one's Edward II. Here's another Edward III. Probably all carved around about the same time, I should imagine. So where they got the images from is anybody's guess. Here we have another Richard, looking quite young. They all seem to have a great massive cools. And here's another Henry. And here's yet another Henry. And the last one, another Henry. Evidently he could read. This must be one of the early bishops or archbishops lying in state in his There's an old chair and leading platform. Never did find out who he was. If you ask the right people, you get the correct questions. This is Walter de Grey, Archbishop, 1215-55, and he's responsible for building the Minster. How about that? This must be the tallest part of the church, Minster. Oh, it's got to be 50 metres high. Got to be 50 metres. That's about the same level as the rest of the church. God, phenomenal, the stonemasons in those days. All done by hand.
Have you been down underneath?
These are, let's believe, some of the oldest Roman remains of the church prior to the building. Even the brickwork is very reminiscent of today's brickwork. One of the really early statues. Must be almost 2,000 years old. Got to be Roman, because I don't think the early Britons had the technology to carve like that. And there's a couple of more early Roman. These all original.
Sorry, I thought that was an exit.
Set underneath the Minster. It must be. This book, quite early Bible, takes back to the 1400s. Used Henry VIII's reign. These are some of the tools that would have used. In the early days of modern times. Some tiles. And here's some miniature carvings. Oh, there's Adam and Eve. Could be quite Roman. There's some other examples of the early stonemasonry. This is a missionary outpost. The first ministry at York was built during the efforts to convert the pagan Anglo-Saxons of Britain to Christianity. It became the centre of spreading the faith throughout the north of England. King Edwin of Northumbria built the Minster in AD 627 in order to be baptised there by Bishop Paulinus, one of the Pope's missionaries. It was a small wooden church dedicated to St. Peter. Edwin soon began to enclose it within a larger stone building. And there is part of the original building. There's some of the stones used. One last bit of filming before I head up to look at the Roman ruins. It looked like rain outside. I hope it's cleared off now. God, you feel so small. Right around. There's that amazing wall again. How did they do it? Perfectly round columns. And the major one, two small ones, another one the same size. This is stonemason at work. Probably using the old-fashioned tools. This is just an example of some of the work they do.
Chip bits away and
brilliant.
make a pattern.
That's the Treasury House just beside the Minster. There's the yard, College Street. There's a map of York, ancient York. Better go for a walk on one of the Roman walls, so I goes find how to get onto there. There's one of the old towers. I wouldn't say it was Roman. More like there's the Elizabethan medieval. There's a little entrance. It's about 750 wide, as you can see by that. Right, just about to walk up the steps. Steps. There's the old door there. Onto the walls. Walking along the old walls now. About half a metre thick. Grand old house. The Minster in the background. English gardens. Beautiful roses. Nice lawns. This is one of the castlements. This is a section of wall where the wall's a lot higher than one I've just walked along. I think that's a great bit of scaffolding up there. Hanging from what? I don't know. Imagine the people praying up enough to take it down. There's a nice garden, nice manicured lawns. Almost as good as Wimbledon. Not very private, seeing you've got the walls overlooking the garden. You wouldn't want to do any sunbathing there. Why are the holes in the shape of a cross? The slots only go up and down. Why did they bother putting the side arms on? Strange. And there's a little decorative bit up there. Oh, pigeons found a roost. There's that cross again. Hope we can get through that gate. Follow the old wall there, and then the back down we have the City Art Gallery. This gateway was broken through Abbey Walls July 1503 in honour of the Princess Margaret, daughter of Henry the 7th, who was the guest of the Lord Abbot of St Mary's for 2 days on her journey to the north as the bride of James IV of Scotland. The King's Manor, a house was built on this site 1270 as a residence for the Abbot of St Mary's Abbey that was substantially rebuilt in the late 15th century. After the dissolution of the monasteries in 1539 it became, until 1641, the headquarters of the Council of the North and the residence of its president, who added to the building. Henry VIII, Charles I, James I stayed here since 1963, has been occupied by the University of York. Well, we're just about to walk in now and have a look around. This is called the King's Manor. I would say that's probably the older part of the manor. That's probably where the kings would have stayed. And around here is the newer part, I would say. See, it's all red brick. It's all quite early. Elizabethan or coat of arms of Charles I. The coat of arms above the entrance is that of Charles I, who stayed in the King's Manor in 1633 and 1639. His father James I, James IV of Scotland, whose monogram appears on the doorway, and introduced the unicorn and support of Scotland into the Royal Arms. The lion is the supporter of England, two beasts holding lances with the flags of St Andrew and St George, and the fleur-de-lis of France. Is it my imagination, or is that building got a bit of a lean to the left? The gap on the bottom is definitely narrower at the top than at the bottom. So there is quite a bit of a lean, almost like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. I wonder if anybody else has picked that up. Let's put a plumb bob down and see how much out of plumb it is. It's not only out of plumb, it's also out of square. If you look at the bottom there, straight, and as you go up, quite a twist in it. I would say it was probably built like that because it looks quite solid. Most unusual. And we're inside the courtyard now. It's our archaeological data service, scientific. Up with the cow in the middle's supposed to be. Just been chatting to the gatekeeper, and he gave me his life story. He used to be a salesman for McVitie's biscuits, just like Bob's. I think the company he worked for was Ross Young. I'll ask Bob if that means anything to him. And he's given me a paper with all the history of this King's Manor on it. Much obliged. And they've got to be original tiles up there, not like modern day tiles. There's a stairway up to the top floor. The coat of arms up there. To our left here we have a wall. Got to be earlier than the other one because it's not as tall. It's only about probably about 5 meters tall. Still got the castellations. Most people would walk past this wall and not even look at it twice. But even this one must have a bit of history behind it. How about this for a Mason building? Is that what it is? It's not a church. St. Leonard's Hospital, built at the expense of John Romanus, died 1255. This building, comprising a vaulted crypt with a chapel above, formed part of St. Leonard's Hospital, at one time the largest hospital in the north of England. Originally known as St. Peter's, it was refounded as St. Leonard's by King Stephen and dissolved in 1540. Vaulted ceilings. I would say this is probably private church, and down there you've got some stone coffins, sarcophagi, very similar to the Egyptians, carved out of solid stone. And you've got a few more. Oh, they must have been quite tall. This is 6 foot long. Mind you, there could have been water troughs for the animals, very much doubt it. I'd definitely say they were stone sarcophagi, because some of these have got lids on, so they're definitely ornate. Some more old-fashioned walls, still standing up to thousands of years. Roman interval tower, so it is part of a Roman wall, this bottom section. That must be the guard room down there, or a big tower up there. This is the inside of the tower. Can't get much of a view, but give you some idea of what it looked like. There's a step down to the floor. The old Roman centurions would have had their afternoon smoker in here. Roman bank, 1st century to 4th century. There's Dark Ages bank, 5th century to 10th century, and further up is the Norman bank, and right at the top, beg your pardon, that's medieval, down to the Norman bank there, and right up to the medieval, that's modern times. This is the River Ouse that flows through York. It's quite a wide river, looks reasonably clean, renowned for its fishing. There's an old bus there, used as a tourist bus. Often you see the small ice cream kiosk, especially doing Roaring Trade. Every city's got to have eye in the sky, and this is looking it through one of the holes in the wall around York. There's York railway station, where I came out this morning around about 9:30, and it is now going for 4 o'clock. Feeling a bit weary, but got a couple of hours to go yet. I'm still on top of the wall. Yeah, what a contrast. You've got medieval walls and towers, and just to the left there we've got a 21st century modern office building. Yeah, there's contrast. Yeah, what a contrast. You've got medieval walls and towers, and just to the left there we've got a 21st century modern office building. Yeah, there's contrast. Just pop myself down in the pub and got myself a nice shandy. It's quite thirsty. Nice quiet pub. The Holy Trinity stocks, wooden stocks, have probably stood on this spot since the 16th century. They were used for punishment of minor crimes and nuisances until changes in the law in 1858. The original stocks are displayed in the church. These replicas were set up in 2006. It's a pity they don't use them these days. It's one of the cobblestones, back streets. The old church beside it. St Martin's. There's an old cast iron liquor bin there. I don't know what year that would be. Well, there's certainly no shortage of drinking places around this place. Lots of restaurants along the waterfront. There's certainly not short of bars. There's the old bridge I've walked over a couple of times. It's about 5 o'clock now. I think I'll start heading for the railway station. Take it easy for the rest of the day. Some hotel and hotel. One last look at the Finster, the distance there on the horizon. As that bus passed. That's probably my last look at it for a long, long time. That's part of the wall. Walked along about 2 hours ago. It's right round the city. Very nice city.